Welcome back, sixth graders. Your video lesson today is on place value. So for taking notes, remember this is a great place for you to pause, write down the title of the lesson, and make sure that you have all 3 learning targets. We are engaging with video lessons, so you're not just sitting back and watching, you have all your materials ready. And like I said, I want you to encourage yourself to think, not just take all the information I give, but think about what do I already know or what might I be wondering. So pause here, title your page, make sure you include your learning targets. I can identify the place of any given digit. I can identify a digit given the place value, and I can identify the value of a given digit. So go ahead, pause, think about what you know before we start. All right, so this place value chart is super important for you to write down in your notes. I know some of you are like rolling your eyes or, letting out a big sigh. It looks like a lot to write down, but it's super important. And it'll save you from writing it down in our next video. You can be a little quicker at it. If you need to be neat, you can use a ruler, but it's very important for you to have in there to reference back to. So pause whenever you want to write it in. Maybe you wait till the end. So yes, you want to copy this in. So you'll notice a place value chart. We're showing you that the decimal is a super important part of numbers here, okay? When we read numbers, we read the decimal point as end, okay? So that's how you read it. Maybe I should use quotations there, end. So for example, if I had a number 52 and 75 hundredths, that is telling me that there's a difference here between how many whole numbers I have and how many parts of a number I have before it becomes whole. So 52 and 75 hundredths means that I am 52, maybe if you see it as a fraction, which we'll learn about later, I'm 25 hundredths away from getting to 53. So you're separating out your whole numbers from your parts of numbers that aren't quite whole. So make sure that you record this, noticing one thing, super important when you have to write out values. Notice the numbers on this side end with an S, or a lot of them end with a DS. So kind of a Z or a DZ sound. And on the end here, these ones that are parts, they're little, they're parts of a number, they end in TH. So I always like to think is a little number, so it's a small sound. It goes with the small numbers. DZ is a big number. It goes with the larger parts. So just if that helps you, go ahead and copy that down, and then we'll carry on. Vocabulary. Make sure this is something that you write down. I'm going to give 3 different examples of what we might be looking for when we're talking place value today. So, place. In a question like, in 492, in which place is the 9? So place, what we're going to do here is you're going to use your chart to determine the place of any given digit in your number. So looking at this, I can see that the 9 is right here. If I look back at my chart, I see, and maybe it's helpful for you to put, if there's no decimal there, that means it's a whole number and the decimal is kind of invisible right there. So, I need to stop saying so, by the way. This number is the 9. Well, I know that this is a 2, and that's a 9, but it's not 492, it's 492. So I know that the 9 represents 90, but that's not what it's asking. Which place is it in? Well, it's in my tens place, so I have tens right there. So again, very important that we know what the question is asking us. Place, that's the tens place. We'll get to its value later on. So the next digit, in 3,157, what digit is in the hundreds place? So when you think digits are just individual numbers, like our whole numbers that make up things. So 0 through 9 are our digits. Okay? So it's asking which digit is in the hundreds place. So again, you can use your chart, figure out where is my hundreds place. If this is my decimal, and I have numbers from here and on. Hundreds, notice it ends in a DS, so remember I think that's big. 100, I think, is right there. My thousands would be right there. So then I look for my hundreds place. Again, I can put an imaginary decimal in, and I see hundreds is my 1. The value of a number, so again, you can use your chart to determine the value of any given digit. So in this case, you're kind of combining both the place of a number and the digit that is in that place, and that will tell you the value of the number. So what is the value of the underlying digit? So again, if it helps, you can put a decimal in, because we see that these are all whole numbers we're working with so far. We can put those in. I see that the 1 is in the second place from the left, and I know that that is my tens place. So that's the place. In that tens place, the digit is 1. So what I know is that I have 1, I have 1 in the tens place, so I know that 110 is 10. So the value of that 1 represents 10. Just another question in case for your confusion, if the 1 is confusing. The 7, if it was asking about the 7, that's in the hundreds place, so 7 hundreds is 700. So that's representing the actual value. So make sure you have some of that written down and we work through that vocabulary. So here on for a couple practice for our learning targets, identifying the place of any given digit. Why don't you write these down and then try. So pause and come back. So I see a 3. I'm wondering what place is the 3 in. So I'm not asking the value. It's not asking me which digit. It gives me the digit and is asking the place. So I look here, and again, I could put a decimal in if I want to know that these are all on the bigger end. And I know this is ones, tens, hundreds, and this is my thousands place. So the 3 is in the thousands place. It's not asking the value, but I bet you could figure that out. On this one now, we are behind the decimal, so we are in our parts. So we are less than 1. We're wondering which place the 2 is. So again, using my place value chart, I know that this is my ones place, tenths place, and this is my hundredths. Notice little hundredths. Small, it's a part of a number, my hundredths place. Trying again here, identify the digit given the place value. Okay, so given the place, we're going to identify the digit. So again, your chart, super helpful to have, right? So we're looking for our 10,000s. Notice this is going to give you my tip again. 10,000s, I know it's to the left of the decimal. It's in the holes because that's a big sound. So then I look here and I think, well, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. The 8 is in the 10,000s. So that's the digit. So in 5 and 79 hundredths, notice how I read that. 5 and 79 hundredths, that tells me that's the hundredths because that's the place it stops at. Again, I know this is my ones, and then I'm looking for the tenths place, so 7 is in the tenths place. All right, one more here. We want to identify the value of the digit now, okay? So we want to know, if we're given a digit, what value does it represent? So in some of these, again, you might want to put in a pretend decimal if that helps you. Maybe pause and come back and check. So write these down and then see if you can name it. So using my chart again, I know I might put in some decimals here. So I know this is to the left, so it's in my whole numbers. This 7 represents 7 ones. If the 8 is in my tens place, so I might write 8 is in the tens place, and I know that 8 tens, it's kind of like multiplication, so the 8 really represents 80, because 8 tens is 80. Here for the underlying digit, I see that we are looking at the 3. Looking at my place value chart, I see that the 3 is in the millions. And I know that millions comes after the 100,000s, so after that comma. So I know that 3 millions, it represents, so the value of that 3 isn't just 3, it is 3 million. And lastly, then we have one behind the decimal, so we know this is a part of a number way to the right, so it's going to be smaller. And the value there, so I know that this is my tenths, this is my hundredths, so this is my thousandths. Notice it's the smalls, remember it's thousandths, small sound. So that represents, what we're going to do is ignore the other numbers, just like we did here. We put those in with zeros. We're going to fill in with a 0. It can't just represent 8. It represents 8 thousandths, or another way to say that is 8 thousandths as a fraction. So something I want you to stop and think about is, why do you think it's important to understand the different values of digits in a number? How could not knowing cause a problem? So there's not really a wrong answer here, but I really would love to hear and see this in the notes that you submit. So think about, why is it important to understand the different values of a number? So for example, what if I wrote down versus, why would that matter? Why would it matter for me to know the difference between what's in the front of this number versus what's in the back of the number, so on and so forth. So one hint maybe is to think about money, and also think about the role that a decimal plays. I'd like to think about, why is a decimal important, and why is it important to know what's left versus what's right on a decimal. And that's something I'd love for you to bring to class and talk about. But this is a good stop and think moment. So this is a great time for you to look back over your notes. Are they neat? Are they readable? Have you included things that you need to include to make this a useful resource? Your chart, for sure. Check for understanding. Try to explain these concepts to somebody else. Rewatch any section of the video that you might need to, and try more practice. You have iExcel, which is going to be part of it. What you're going to do now, though, is make sure that you read the to-do list on Schoology. It is going to ask that you upload your notes to ClassKick. Okay, not just any old ClassKick. It's going to tell you which ClassKick to upload. We are currently in week 3 of our year, and so it is week 3, September 28th to October 2nd. Okay, so you're going to log into your ClassKick, find that, and you're going to follow along with the slides, reading the directions of where to upload your ClassKick. I hope you guys had an awesome time refreshing some skills that you already know and then have built on them also. Have an awesome day.